for a GFI training, not a sports pep talk. Says, well, if you don't understand that our business is a game of failure and a game of, if you don't understand that our business is a business of failure, you will be the failure in our business. You understand that? And here's the problem. Most people don't fail enough, and that's why they're not worth, and that's why they don't win more. I read a quote the other day that said, winners have failed more than failures have. And I think it's so freaking true. Like, I don't mean to be rude or anything. Any of you guys on an EMD run right now? Respectfully, what are you doing in this meeting right now? You have 36 hours to go hit EMD. Why are you on a training? You should be blasting the phones and freaking going driving to people. If somebody reschedules, you're on the next one. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be mean. I'm just gonna be Mario. And Mario is good for some, and Mario is really bad for some. You either hate me or you love me, and I'm completely okay because I'm not the ice cream man, and I don't need to be liked. I need to be. I need to be someone that says the truth. And you couldn't put me in a freaking training when I was trying to get to EMD. I never missed the base shop training, and I'm not telling you log off. What I'm telling you is like, man, our business is a game of failure. And if your numbers right now, like I know for a fact, there's probably a good amount of people in this call that have not done any recruits or any sales this month. You coming to more trainings is not going to get you more recruits and more sales. You doing the work and getting more no and more rejection and doing the stuff you don't want to do is what's going to get you those numbers that you want to get. And the truth is, we just need to be okay with that. I have a question. What would you be willing to do to become a millionaire? Is one of the things you're willing to do get told no more often? If all you need to do to become a millionaire is take no's better, how about we start to take no's better? You know what I mean? So somebody says no. What does that have to? Oh, anyways, I don't want. This is an actual training. I don't need to get fired up about this. Some of you are not even on my team, and like so, if you don't do nothing, I don't. Good for you. I'm just trying to tell you. Train the trainers. You got to get yourself in front of more people. You got to get a lot more no's. You got to get a lot more reschedules. People say, man, I got to reschedule a lot. Good. What do you want me to do? Cry with you? Here's some tissue. Let's go get after it. Every reschedule is an opportunity to book more appointments. And right now is month end. This is when we all should be on the phones. This is when we all should be making more calls. This is when we should be calling the carriers. This is when we should be calling our prospects, when we should be calling our teammates and practicing what I'm about to teach you today, which I think today's training is something that I could tell you. I don't think I'm a great leader, but I think I'm good at a couple of things. And I'm pretty dang good at a couple of things. And one of the things that I'm pretty good at is something called the law of navigation. The law of navigation. If you guys saw the poster about today's training, the topic today is called the law of navigation. And now, what does that mean? Well, the law of navigation, I'm going to explain it to all of you. But did somebody need to hear that challenge? Like, why do you keep coming to the trainings? Make phone calls. Like, it's the middle of the day. I love that our company has trainings, but like, how many calls have you made today? How many appointments have you been on today? Like, I don't know about you. I hated being a meeting attender. I wanted to be a meeting giver. I wanted to be the trainer at meetings. I didn't want to be the one taking notes at meetings. Am I the only one here that feels like that? I hope somebody's on this call going like, you know what, dude? You're absolutely right. Boom. And you get on the phone and you start dialing. Mario, you ended your training with 3 people on. I'm like, I love it. That means they got on the phones and they started doing things that actually made them money. All right. I hope none of you guys told your spouse, hey, honey, I'm going to go to work and you attended this training because this training ain't work. This is just training. Okay. All right. Sorry. Somebody needed to say that. Some of you are professional meeting attenders. But don't let us ask you to make a phone call. What do you mean make a phone call? All right, here we go. All right, good. Now I know most of you have appointments later today. That's why you like book this in your calendar because you're good at organizing your schedule. You're like, I'm gonna go learn for an hour and then I'm gonna go implement the rest of the day. Is that right? I think that's what everybody in this call is doing. So I appreciate that. But let's talk about the law of navigation. And I don't know if you can tell, but in the background, it's kind of like a map. And it's all themed after it. Can you guys see my screen? Am I sharing the right one? All right, good. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about what is the law of navigation. It's one of John Maxwell's 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. type 21 on the chat if you have read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you have not, it's probably the most read book on leadership, the most sold book on leadership in mankind, outside of the Bible, which is the best book of all time. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is like, that's where I would start. If somebody goes, Mario, I want to start learning leadership, I will start at 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. John Maxwell wouldn't be John Maxwell if he didn't write 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's the book that made him successful. And then from there, his content just unbelievable. I'm sure I'm not the only one that here follows John Maxwell and loves John Maxwell teachings and the way that he trains. Well, what made him famous back in the day was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So let's talk about what is the core idea of the law of navigation. So the law of navigation says the following: anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. And we're going to apply this to the business, okay? Great leaders don't just inspire people. Like, I can come up here and like tell you what I just told you, right? I'm like, you got to get on the phones. Why are you coming to trainings and taking notes? You need to go get notes, okay? This is what's important about leaders. They know where they're going. They anticipate the obstacles, and they create a plan that gives others the confidence to follow. How many of you guys want more people to follow you? How many of you want more people to follow you? It starts with a core question. Would you follow you? Question for you guys. What are the traits that you would like in a leader? And then you got to develop those traits in your own self. But one of the things that I believe is powerful about leaders, and I want to make this clear, leadership is the toughest position in the world and the highest paid position in the world. It's something that, even though I'm doing a training on it, it's something I'm still learning and getting better every single day. I encounter new challenges and obstacles every single day. And sometimes I got to remind myself that's why they pay us the big bucks, because we deal with the most people. So what I want to say to all of you about leadership is this. You first got to learn to lead yourself. Then you learn to lead followers. And then you learn to lead leaders. And I want you to write down the following, please. Not because you're someone's upline, that means you're someone's leader. You got it? Leadership is earned, not positioned. So if I recruit Lisandro on my team, am I Lisandro's leader now? No. I got to go earn the right for me to say that I'm his leader. And I got to earn the privilege of him calling me a leader. So what separates a leader from a follower? A leader is looking ahead. A follower needs someone to look ahead for him or her. So a lot of us that are caught up on day-to-day stuff, that's not leadership. That's followership. You got me? Every political campaign, we call them political leaders. What does every political campaign have in common? Every single political campaign, the runner for that campaign talks about how if we elect them, things will get better. All of them. True or not true? What did Obama sell? Hope and opportunity, right? What did Trump sell? Making our country great again. All people that run for office are what we so-called political leaders. They're selling us on what the future is going to look like. All leaders in business, they're selling what the future is going to look like. So I have a question for you. Are you selling what the future is going to look like? Or are you too worried about today that you're no longer looking ahead? Remember this. If you look back, you get depressed. If you look down, which is if you think about the past, you're gonna get emotional. Good or bad, the good old days or the bad old days. If you're constantly looking at the past, you're gonna be emotional. If you're constantly if you're constantly looking at the present, you're gonna be frustrated. But if you're constantly looking at the future and the possibilities that could be, you're gonna be excited. So here's the question. Are you as excited today as you were when you first got started? And if for any reason to any of you, the answer is no, I tell you at some point you stop thinking about what it will look like 6 months from now, what this will look like 3 months from now. Man, how fast your team can explode. Maybe you just went through a hardship and one of your teammates quit or one of your clients changed their mind. You understand that you got to be so excited that tomorrow you can have an account that is double the size than the one that canceled, or you can recruit a person that is going to grow a lot bigger than the one that just left you. You got to understand that you got to keep looking ahead because everybody can be excited for a day or two, but only the greats can be excited for as long as it takes to get the job done. Only the greats can get excited for as long as it takes to get the job done. Can I tell you what I'm selling myself constantly? I'm selling myself constantly the dream of what life will look like 3 months from now. At this point of my career where life is already pretty awesome, I'm like, man, 3 months from now, these people are going to be trained. They're not going to be calling me every 10 minutes. I'm not going to have to be putting all those fires. It's going to be so much better. Man, what's life going to look like a year from now? Holy crap. This teammate's going to be at this income. They're going to be able to move into their dream house. This team is going to be this, and this. I'm constantly thinking about the future. I want to encourage you that you develop a leadership trait of being forward thinking, future thinking. Yes, yes, yes. All right, awesome. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Here are 5 practical principles that you can use on how you can utilize the law of navigation. Number 1, you got to know exactly where you're going. Law of navigation applies for you and the people following you. You got me? So I have Medi and Shireen who I love being in trainings because they're always together. They're always with a smile. They're always paying attention. They're always positive. They always have great energy. And I love that about them. That's why I know they're good leaders because good leaders set the tone. But anyways, it's 2 things. You got to know exactly where you're going and you need to know exactly where your team wants to go. You know what's the best dream you can sell people? Here's a trick question. You guys can go in the chat. What's the best dream you can sell to someone? What's the best dream you can sell to someone? Our opportunity, hope, freedom. I like what Susie Contreras said. The best dream I can sell you is yours. Because we all have a different one. Does that make sense? Like for me, my dream could be I just look right and my dream's staring at me. There's a golf course with perfect weather. I don't see anybody playing. It's green as it gets. The fairway is pure. My dream is I just want to be out there just hitting some golf balls and playing every day. That's my dream. Now, to some of you, that is not a dream. So guess what? How do you get Mario to want to do more? You sell me my dream because it's something I want to go chase. How do I get you to do more? I sell you your dream. How do I identify where your dream is? Do you guess? What did Anthony Duarte say? He says, you ask. Exactly right, Anthony. I ask you, tell me, what are your dreams? So I want to encourage all of you to write down when you're meeting with people, when you're onboarding people. One of the things that I learned from that I got reminded from Estelle and Bianca Valdovinos, who are crushing it right now, is Mario, we get a dreams list for everybody. Like it says, hey, if money was not an issue, what are 10 things you would love to do in your life that you can't do right now? And they write down 10 dreams that people have and they use those as leverage. So when they're down, when they get through tough time, how do you think they're gonna get through tough times? To say, hey, I know it's not easy, but you told me you wanted to put your kids in private school. You told me you wanted to move out of your parents' house. You told me you wanted to buy this car. You told me you wanted to retire your parents. Is that not the case anymore? And I get to use your dreams to keep you dreaming. All right. So you got to know exactly where you're going. Number 2, you got to prepare more than everyone else. And I want to make, okay, yeah. So I'm just going to go through this 5 and then I'm going to elaborate later. Okay. So the 5 principles of the law of navigation: 1, you got to know exactly where you're going. 2, you got to prepare more than everyone else on how you're going to take this journey on. 3, you got to anticipate the challenges before they happen. I have a question. If you know what's going to happen before it happens, does it shock you as much when it happens? No. Matter of fact, you can prepare, like number 2 says, you can prepare better if you know that there's going to be some things, some challenges along the way. Number 4, you got to communicate your plan clearly and repetitively. Repeatedly. I was throwing in some Mario English right there. It's called Maglish. I make up my own words. Nobody even knows. Am I the only one that use make up lyrics when you're listening to songs because your interpretation is completely different than what the song says? All right, okay. If you're an immigrant, if English is your second language, we make up our own lyrics all the time. I the other day I was singing, my wife goes, "That's not what it says." I'm like, "Well, that." And I'm like, "I don't care about what it says. I care about what I say." It sounded good to me. All right, good. So you got to communicate the plan clearly and repeatedly. And number five, you got to adjust the route without changing the destination. Write this down. Adjust the route without changing the destination. People don't follow the best idea. They follow the leader who has the clearest direction. So let's go into it. What are 5 ways to become more effective at running the law of navigation? Number one, great leaders spend more time planning than reacting. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Great leaders spend more time planning than reacting. Question: where are you going? What are your goals? Why does going there matter? What does success look like? The principle here is you got to measure twice and cut once. A lot of us want to keep on cutting, but we never measure. And then it comes out terrible. What do I mean by this? Mario, speak in GFI terms. Okay. Let's say I'm here with Mehdi and Shireen, and they want to be the next national vice presidents in the company. Okay, which I believe they want to be and they will be. Well, if I'm their leader, I gotta study their numbers. I gotta think before I move, and I gotta take a look at where they're at. I gotta measure. I gotta plan. What does it look like? What are the ratios? What's their average point per recruit? How many licensed agents they have? What's their licensing ratio? What's their average recruiting number per month? What's their average production per recruit? I got to take a look at what their business is like, because if I don't understand what their business looks like, how could I ever guide them and coach them on getting there? When somebody's brand new, think about this. We give new people so much instruction, they almost get lost. Am I the only one here that felt like when a new person comes in, what do they got to do? A lot. That's what we sound like. But do people, when they're brand new, do they got to do a lot? What's someone's number one job when they get started with us? To put as many people as humanly possible in front of the company. You know what we've gotten really good at? Not getting as many people in front of the company as humanly possible and wondering why. I remember when I got started, I went to my orientation class. There was a lady by the name of Gail Haven teaching that class back in April of 2007. And I remember, she goes, a lot of you guys ask, what do you need to do? Let me explain to you your job description until you become licensed. And I said, oh, I'm so ready, right? Like, what's my job description? She goes, to put as many people as humanly possible in front of the company. I got so mad. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? That's all I got to do is put people in front of the company. I'm like, no, I need to learn finances. I need to learn strategies. I need to learn illustrations. I need to learn the vocabulary. I got to learn scripts. I got to learn how to sell. No, she said, your number one job when you're brand new is you got to get as many people as humanly possible in front of the company in your first until you get licensed. And my gosh, did that not make a difference in my career? So what I realized is this. In Canada, some things might be different. But I have a question for you. If you want to do law of navigation with a brand new recruit, question for you. What does somebody new got to do their first 30 days? Because think about it. We do onboarding 1, we do onboarding 2, we do onboarding 3, onboarding 4. And you know what happens a lot of the times? They go, this is awesome, but I'm confused. I'm lost. Anybody's ever had a teammate that feels lost or feels rushed or feels like we're going too fast or they have no idea what to do next? Whose fault is that? The trainer's fault. The trainer, I'm not saying your fault, it's the trainer's fault. So for me, when I go through orientation and I'm going through onboardings, I said, let me summarize my checklist I have with you of things we got to get done in the first 30 days. I'm going to go over a lot of stuff. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to guide you through the process. I'm going to guide you through the system. I'm going to ask you to do certain things. We're going to make lists. You're going to learn scripts. You're going to code scripts. There's going to be a lot of learning in the first 30 days. But for me, all that gets summarized into, I got to make sure that you follow a 5-point checklist. And as long as that 5-point checklist is accomplished, you are going to be on the right track. And what does that do? That almost like takes all the clutter out and it gives them a to-do list. So in giving people guidance, you almost got to create a step-by-step numerical process for them to follow, because it's very easy for people to follow numerical instruction versus instruction. Like, I'm gonna say, hey guys, here's the things you got to do to become successful. How much harder is that to follow than here are 10 things you got to do to become successful? For some reason, when you put a numerical attachment to your instruction, it becomes simpler to comprehend and simpler to absorb for the person receiving it. So I'm going to tell you some things that are in my checklist for everybody's first 30 days in business. Okay. So number one, they got to start attending trainings. Now, what trainings do they got to attend? I only tell people they got to attend 2 trainings, and those are my base shop trainings. Am I sending them to this training? No, they're brand new. They're not even licensed. Am I sending them to advanced planning training on how Kaizen works? Absolutely not. That's not what they're here. I want to give them access to my base shop trainings so they can be a part of the environment. They can be a part of the culture. They can have access to that. And I know I'm catering those trainings, understanding that there's a lot of new people coming in. So the 5 things are attend trainings. Number 2, they got to get licensed. Number 3, they got to finish 10 training appointments. Well, in Canada is different. No, it's not different. Licensing is different. Licensing timing is different. You want to keep someone? Show them what we do. Do you guys want to hear something crazy? I believe more than 80% of people that quit never went on an appointment once. So they never got to see what we do, and they're already gone. Because it took us too long to show them what we do. I believe whether you make money or not make money, you go on an appointment, you see what we do, and you see the impact we make on a family, you're less likely to leave, because now you not only want to make money, but you believe in the cause in which you're going to make money later. Does that make sense? All right, good. Number 4, I got to help that new person get 3 recruits and 3 sales in their first 30 days and get promoted. I got to get them their 330. And what's number 5? I got to make him a client. That's the number 5. I know to a lot of people it's number 1. That's good. All of these 5 things are number 1 to me. If I accomplish all of the 5 things I just told you with a new recruit, I don't care what they miss. I don't care how my onboarding was. I know they're on track to be successful. If I miss any of the 5 things I just mentioned to you, I know they're on track to fail. And what is my job as their leader? To put them on the right track, not the wrong track. So what are the 5 things that I want to make sure all people go through? And by the way, our onboarding process helps us achieve these 5 things. What are they? Number 1, attending meetings. Number 2, get licensed. Number 3, finish 10 qualified appointments. 4, get 330 done. We got to help them get promoted. Number 5, we got to help them become a client. If we can do those five things, we are setting them up for success. How does law navigation take play into this? Hey, buddy, guess what? Looks like we've crossed 3 out of the 5. You're coming to the trainings. You got licensed. And you got licensed, and you have done, and you have become a client. But I noticed that we still need 2 more recruits and 1 more sale. So let's book 3 appointments for this weekend, because I know you're not going to be working. I'll make some time for you. I'll be willing to work with you. So how about we get together at 5 o'clock and we set 30 minutes aside so we can make some phone calls. All right? Because we're almost done with your checklist. Let's make sure we stay on track. So now let's say that Asita goes and helps a client and she gets a second sale. Great job. Asita is doing such a good job. She's got her second client. She only has 1 more to go. Law of navigation is me guiding through communication my teammates in the direction that they need to go. Because when they're brand new, they have no idea where they need to go. So it is my job as the leader through my communication to guide them in the proper direction. Because Azita may want to learn everything she wants to know about our products. She may want to learn other things. No. There'll be time and there'll be a place and time for that. Right now, there's 3 days left and you got 1 recruit to go. So who do you know that can be that person that can help you get promoted? Does that make sense? It is our job as our trainers to guide our people through the system. All right, good stuff. I don't know how I did that. Let's continue. Are you guys getting some out of this? Yes? If you're not a trainer, this does not apply to you. So you're like, I'm not learning anything. Good. That's why this training is called Train the Trainers. All right, number 2, look further ahead down the road. Look further ahead down the road. Don't just solve today's problems, anticipate tomorrow's problems. Some of the questions you can ask yourself is what obstacles are coming, what opportunities are ahead, what decisions do I need to make now to win later? Example, I asked how many of you, I don't know if anybody in my front page, any of you guys running for EMD right now? Anybody running for EMD like in the next 2 to 3 months? Okay, so nobody on my first page. Okay, how about in the second page? Anybody here on the second page? Okay, Arturo Murillo is running for EMD right now. What do you think Arturo needs to do to be an EMD? Ready? He's got to put up bigger numbers than he's ever put up before if he wants to be an EMD. So let's anticipate what's coming. If he needs to have bigger numbers, what's going to happen? Let's talk about this. He's going to have to understand that with putting up bigger numbers, he's going to have to deal with more reschedules, with more changes of mind, with more cancellations, with more no-shows, with more, I'm sorry, my policy is not going to, my money's not coming in right now. The more you want to do, the more rejection, the more obstacles you're going to have in front of you. It's plain and simple. Does that make sense? So if we don't anticipate for that, so what's the guideline on 3 months to become an EMD? 90,000 points. I'm sorry, 100,000 points, correct? Well, I have a question. If you submit 100,000 points, do you think you're going to hit EMD? I'll tell you right now, not a chance. Because someone is not going to go through, a policy is going to get pushed over for the final month. They're going to require some medical information from someone that's out of your control, and that might delay the process for the following month. There's going to be someone who's going to change their mind right before you give them the policy. There's going to be someone that gets declined. Things are going to happen. So you cannot just say, I'm going to submit 100,000 points and be an EMD. You actually got to go submit probably 130, 150,000 points if you want to be an EMD, so you can leave room for error that if something doesn't go through, you still get your promotion. By the way, do you need 10 licensed agents to be an EMD? Absolutely. So how many people should be studying? If you right now have 7 people licensed on your team and you need 3 more, how many people should be running to fit the next 3? You probably should have 6 or 7 people trying to be the next 3 in case any of them fall out, don't happen, don't pass, whatever the case may be. I got to overshoot if I want to even get there. Does that make sense? There's an analogy in martial arts. Have anybody seen martial arts where they're breaking stuff? If you grab a board and you try to break the board, the wooden board, there's a simple lesson here. If you aim at the board, you break your hand. If you aim through the board, you'll break the board. What does that mean? If I try to hit the board, I'm going to break my hand. But if I aim through the board, I'm going to break the board. A lot of us, when it comes down to a promotion, when it comes down to stuff, it's like, oh, I need 100,000 points. No, dude, you need 130,000 points so you can end up with 100,000 points. A lot of you are like, oh, I'm so fired up. I have an appointment today. I got news for you. If you ever have 1 appointment in your schedule, you have 0 appointments in your schedule. Because we all understand, and I hope you understand, that 50% of all appointments, it don't matter how good looking you are, it don't matter how successful you are, 50% of all your appointments are going to reschedule. So are you playing the numbers or are you playing your hopes? So if you want to be on 10 appointments this week, how many appointments you got to set up? 20. So if I'm a leader and I know you got to be on 10 appointments in the next 7 days for me to help you get promoted and I'm doing law of navigation, the most important person, second most important person in my life just walked in, my daughter. Say hi, man. Okay, good. We're going to go uniform shopping after this training. I'm pretty excited about that. All right. I'm going to turn off some of your guys' camera because you guys are walking around with your camera on and it really, there we go. Cool. It's so distracting. I see like your nostrils and all that stuff. Not very fun. Like I was saying, so for example, let's say I'm talking to Brenda Rigor, who is the #1 square in my screen, right? And Brenda goes, Mario, my goal is to make $10,000 this month. So okay, let's break down what $10,000 mean. $10,000, that means you need to close, you're a senior associate, you need to do 20,000 points. What's the average points you get per sale? Mario, 2,000. Okay, good. We got to do 10 sales this month in order for you to make 20,000 points, which make you $10,000. Follow me so far? We got to do math. In order for us to get those 20,000 points, like I said, we got to do 10 sales. How are we going to get 10 sales? We got to assume that you're only going to close 50% of all appointments you go on. So to get 10 sales, you got to do 20 appointments. How do you get in 20 appointments? Ready? You got to book 40 because 50% are going to reschedule and 50% are going to buy. So you cannot expect to go on 10 appointments and close 10 sales. If you do, that's amazing. But we cannot hope for the best and plan for the best. We got to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. We got to leave no chance for failure. Agreed or disagreed? So now we got to book 40 appointments. Does that make sense? So now, guess what, Brenda? You're going to set up 40 appointments. Half of them are going to show up and half of them are going to buy. What am I preparing you now for? For the numbers, for understanding that there's going to be people that are going to call you last minute and change their mind. People are not going to pick up the phone. You're going to be waiting for them on Zoom and they're going to stand you up. This right here of down the road and understanding that there's going to be a level of failure involved in everybody's journey, it is critically important when you are coaching people. Does that make sense? So as I'm coaching through law of navigation, I got to make sure that I consider the dynamics of not everything all the time goes well. All right, number 3, when I'm talking about law of navigation, people don't follow confusion, they follow clarity. Is the plan that you put for people crystal clear or is it foggy? If Brenda wants to make $10,000, she's going to associate. What's the whole point here? She's got to have 40 appointments in her calendar this month. If she doesn't have 40 appointments, so by the way, is that clear or is that confusing? I have a question. Are you giving this kind of instruction to your people? The answer to 99% of people in our business, they don't give this kind of instruction. They wonder why people will do more. Understand this, guys. Clear minds move ahead. Confused minds think about it. Analysis paralysis comes from the fact that people don't understand what you're telling them to do. By the way, if you right now were driving on the highway and there was perfect clear skies and nobody ahead, how many of you will push a little bit pedal to the metal? Majority of us would. We wouldn't be scared of driving fast because we can see clearly ahead. What would happen if it was raining, thunderstorm, crazy fogginess, but there was nobody on the road? Would you go as fast as you would go in a clear sky? No. Why? Because you're afraid because you cannot see ahead. If you can teach people how to get ahead and give them a clear, concise plan, they're more likely to do things whether you are there or not for them. So remember this. Every leader should know a couple of things from their people. They should know I got to know their goal. What's their next milestone? What deadline are we going to set for this milestone? Who owns it? Like, do they own it or they don't own it? Are they aware? And how progress will be measured. And progress is usually measured through accountability. I got news for you. If you want to be the next CMD, you ought to be communicating with your team and with your leader daily. Daily. You want to know why? Because there's less room for error when you're in the run. And many times you can't look at the picture if you're inside the frame. How many of us we've ever gone through a day that a lot of things go our way and the next day nothing goes our way? You need to have someone coaching you on how to handle the nothing went my way day, so the next day doesn't repeat itself, because I can't afford to have 2 bad days in a row. Does that make sense? Accountability is never for the person giving the accountability to. Accountability is always for the person that is being accountable. So remember, a clear plan creates confident people. If you want your people to be confident when they're going on a run, when they're like, have them have a prepared plan. Okay. Number 4, you got to communicate. You got to communicate the vision constantly. Every time I talk to Brenda, I'm like, hey, Brenda, where are you at on your 10K? Congratulations, Brenda, you got a combo cycle. That was 1,700, 8,300 to go. Oh, Mario, I got 400 of those. Oh, sorry. 8,100 to go. How's that going? What's in your pipeline? What do you got going on? Talk to me. Bum. Are you following me here? People need to hear the vision repeatedly. What does Eric keep saying all the time? What is the vision that Eric has? To be number 1 in the industry. How many times have you heard Eric say, our vision is to be number 1 in the industry? I have a question. How many times has your team heard your team goal this month? You know, I've done one thing differently this month in Lion Star that I have not done in a long time. You know what that is? Every single day, I'm sending a reminder to, matter of fact, before I even say it, Tiffany Timmons is here. I can see her. Hi, Tiff. Can you go in the chat real quick? And if you're in Line Star, can you go in the chat right now and post what our team goals are this month? If you don't know it, don't post it. But what's our team goal this month? How many recruits? How many points? 600 recruits. Very good, Freddie. Very good. Tiff, how many points? And 3 million points. And you know how often we talk about, how often do you guys get a text on where we're at for that goal? Every single day. By the way, this is a very own principle I'm teaching you on that I forgot about and I stopped talking. And other months, I have not approached it with as much intensity as this month. You know what's going to happen? It's going to be our first month as a team that we break 3 million points. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, we need 111 recruits to break 600 recruits. And when we do that, it will be our best recruiting month of our career and our best production month of our career. But you know what it's taking? Plenty of communication every day, where we're at, where we're at, where we're at. And guess what? Sometimes people forget. Some people might go, I might not be able to hit my goal, but I can help the team hit their goal. So constant communication, constant communication. People need to hear the vision repeatedly. You saying the vision, how do you know if your team knows the vision? Quiz them. Hey guys, what's our team goal this month? If they cannot answer it, you've not said it enough times. All right. Good. Number 5, review and adjust regularly. Navigation is not about never changing the plan. It's about staying committed to the destination while adjusting the route. Write this down. You got to get good at rerouting. You got to get good at rerouting. You got to get good at rerouting. How many of you ever been driving and you have your GPS on, but you're listening to your favorite song and you're like listening, she's from Texas, I can tell by the way he's still stepping down the room. And you're like, oh my God, I missed my exit. Has that happened to anyone, or am I the only one that jams to what's it called? Something Texas, right? How many of you have ever done that? You're like, or you're jamming to your favorite song, and next thing you know, dang it, I just missed my exit. What does the GPS do? Does it tell you, all right, you're not getting there? Or what does the GPS do? No, you got to reroute, take the next exit, blah, blah. And what may happen is that the destination time might change. So if you were 11 minutes away, now it might be 14 minutes away. True or not true? It's no different with our goals, and it's no different with our business. So if I'm trying to make $10,000 this month, Brenda, you need to make $2,500 per week. So if it's week 1 and you've not submitted $2,500 in commissions, you have 2 choices. You either compensate on week 2 and 3 and generate more during those 3 weeks, or you're just not going to make 10 grand this month, but maybe you can make 10 grand next month. Can I tell you one thing that's very true? Most people don't know how to reroute. They just take the L and get down on themselves. I was not even planning on saying this. This is pretty good. Most people don't know how to reroute. They just miss the destination. They take the L, the loss, and then they get down on themselves. You know how many times I ran to be an EMD? You know how many months I tried to be an EMD? I got to EMD, so you guys know what is to the EMD. And June of 2008. So I've been a broker now for a little while. You know how many months I ran to be an EMD? 3 months in a row, I missed it. One time, the delivery truck, because back in the day, there was no electronic applications. It was all paper applications with wet signatures and physical checks. It was a different world back in the day. I got back to the office from my appointment like at 6, and the delivery bus from FedEx had come at 5 that day, and I couldn't send my application on time. I went myself, and there was no more next day air. The next day air was like 2 days because it was like past the cut line, and I missed my broker position over that. I had the business. Everything was ready. I just came an hour late. and I missed my promotion. I can tell you 30 teammates I have that they submit everything, it doesn't hit, and they go, oh, I didn't hit it, and GFI didn't pay me on time. I'm like, dude, you can cry or you can go at it again. You got to keep running. And every time you miss the target, you learn a lesson on how next time you're not going to miss the target. Does that make sense? Anybody's ever heard of Apollo 13? Anybody seen the movie Apollo 13? Does anybody know the Apollo 13 mission? Why is that mission so historic? Does anybody know why that mission is so historic? Why is Apollo 13 so historic? Because they lived. That's a good answer. All right, good. Yeah. But what did Apollo 13 accomplish? What did Apollo 13 accomplish? For our civilian understanding, it was the first ever mission that actually ended up landing on the moon and came back to Earth. Is that correct, or do I got my history wrong? Some of you are going to say that, somebody else was in the moon before. I don't know about that story. I know about the Apollo 13 story. How many people were involved in the Apollo 13 mission? Thousands. The people on the actual, whatever it's called, rocket ship. But how many people in Houston, how many people in NASA were like tracking everything and seeing? Don't you think they had pre-planned how they were going to get there, how much fuel they needed, how much supplies they needed to send the astronauts on, what kind of astronaut outfits they needed to have? Don't you think they had planned everything? And after they planned everything, did it go perfectly as planned? For my understanding, over 80% of the time of the mission was off track, not on track, and they had to keep rerouting and rerouting and rerouting and rerouting and rerouting. 80% of the time, the mission was spent rerouting every plan they had built to make sure they can make it to the moon and they can make it back to Earth. Is that crazy? So if I have 4 appointments today and none of them show up, I got to reroute, and tomorrow I got to book 8 appointments because I cannot afford to keep just doing 4 because 4 is not going to be enough. I got to reroute. What if, by the way, this is one thing that drives me crazy. Hey, how many points are you going to do this month? 20,000. Is the last day of the month. Is the last 2 days of the month. How many points are you going to do? Well, Mario was going to do 20,000, but I have 6,000 points that have not hit American Equity, and I don't think they're going to come in time. So I think those points are going to fall to next month. And I'm like, I didn't ask you for a story. I asked you for a number. What are you going to end this month with? Oh, well, 14. But I submitted at 20, though, but like 6 are going to... Dude, that is not the question. That right there is you're a victim. And I'm speaking to myself. When we don't hit our goals because we have an excuse, we become the victim. When we hit our goals despite of what happens to us, we become the victors. Imagine if I'm running for EMD and one policy is not going to hit. Am I going to miss my entire promotion because one policy didn't hit? Or am I going to if I have 12 hours left on the day, if I have 20 hours day on the left, what am I doing? I'm calling an emergency meeting with everybody on my team and says, hey guys, guess what? That policy that we were counting on to hit EMD is not going to hit this month. So we got 36 hours to come up with 10,000 points. Does anybody know anybody that we can talk to that can make up that number? Does anybody know anybody? And by the way, you go immediately in attacking the gap that you need to go fulfill so you can hit your goals. There's a saying in golf that goes the following: there's no pictures on the scorecard. You see, there's no pictures in your numbers. If you see your best month of our career at the end of this month, what you're not going to see is all the policies didn't go through, all the cancellations our team went through, all the drama that's happened, not drama, but all the obstacles that our team has faced, all the bad stuff that's happened throughout the month, all the long calls on Sunday mornings and Sunday nights and weekends. Nobody sees that. But can I tell you one thing? Nobody also even cares. You know, all that matters, when the story's done, we had the best month of our entire career. And I want to encourage you, what if you approach every month like that? What if you approach your goals like that? How about you stop? And I'm not saying you, but in general, what if us as business people stop missing our goals because things didn't go our way, and we start making things go our way by overcompensating when things are not going to fall through? I don't want to depend on anyone or anything on why I don't achieve my goals. Write that down. I don't want to depend. I don't If I don't achieve my goals, I don't want to leave it up to someone or something for me to hit my goals. I'm going to do whatever it takes to achieve my goals. Does that make sense? All right, good. Principle, the destination is fixed. The route is flexible. No matter how you get there, just get there. So let's talk again. What were the 5 ways to become more effective at the law of navigation? You got to think before you move. We got to plan. We got to study our numbers. We got to see where we're at. We got to see what exactly does it take for this mission to be accomplished. True or not true? We cannot just, I'm going to make calls today. Well, be intentional about your calls. I'm going to give you a quick little, Mario tip. All right. I never tracked activity. I only tracked results. So I never go, I made 30 calls today. For me was, I know if I have 8 appointments in the calendar, 4 are going to show up. So I tracked appointments booked, not calls made. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, Mario, I made 73 calls. Nobody, like, no appointments today. I'm like, dude, don't track the calls. Track the appointments booked. Anyways, think before you move. Be very strategic. What numbers you got to do? Number 2, look further down the road. Take a look at what are some of the things that might happen. Hey, what if you're going for EMD and you need 1 more net license? Who is the person on my team that is the closest to getting to 1,000? Or who can set, like, who on my team right now is licensed that could make the $1,000? Okay, I'm going to reach out to all of them. I'm going to see who I can book appointments with, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get them the $1,000. And I may need to try to do it with 2 or 3 people so one can do it. By the way, don't you think I'm going to create a tracker? 10 net licenses. This is the 3 people closest to it. This is how much each one of them need. And I'm going to be tracking it cycle per cycle, day by day. They say, inspect what you expect. Number 3, I'm going to build a clear roadmap. That's what I mean. That's the strategy. That is the tracking that I'm going to be. Put it this way right now. This is just a quick question for you. How many of you, within 60 seconds, you can show me a list of all the potential business, of all the potential clients, all the potential recruits, and what's spending on your pipeline right now for it to hit? If you're not tracking this, if you're not aware of what is next, how in the world do you expect to hit it? Right? Can I tell you what getting to EMD taught me? How to track my business. Because every point counted. And I wrote all the business that was submitted, all the business that already paid, the one that haven't paid, the ones that haven't paid, why haven't they gotten paid? Everything was tracked every single day. And guess what happened? Because we tracked it every day, we got better at it. Then we taught our team how to do it. And not only did we get to EMD, but then we started developing EMDs. So you got to build a clear roadmap. You got to track that roadmap. You got to inspect that roadmap. Number 4, you got to communicate the vision constantly. You got to keep talking about it. 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 When you have a goal, you got to keep talking about it. By the way, the goal will not be accomplished if you don't talk about it. Can I give you guys a quick little comment on goals and dreams and vision? The first time you say them is really hard to say them. Guys, our goal this month is to do, you're like, okay, I need to say a big number, but I also want to be realistic. And you just have you know the number and you're having a hard time saying it. Anybody's ever had a hard time saying their goal or their number, or you might think your team thinks you're exaggerating or it's not real or it's too, any of you ever afraid of sharing your goal? How many of you, be straight up with me, you're like, Mario, I want to be a senior partner. Anybody here wants to be a senior partner? Here's a question for you. Have you articulated that publicly and out loud? The first time you say it, if you're a person of integrity, you're going to have a really hard time saying it. Because you know how freaking far you are. You're almost going to need a miracle for it to happen. It's intimidating to say that you're going to be there. You don't want people to think whatever they're going to think. It's hard to say it. But you know what's crazy? If you say it enough and enough and enough and enough and enough times, your mind begins to get familiarized with what your vision is, and your mind will begin to go find a way to make that vision come true. And what one time sounded crazy, at one point is going to become normal. You got to normalize crazy. You got to normalize crazy. The first time I said, guys, we're gonna be the like. Let me tell you one of the goals that I have for us in Lionstar. And I know Lionstar is just a hierarchy inside of GFI, but our goal is to become the first $100 million hierarchy. Let me just tell you, every time I say it, I believe it even more. We're gonna be the first $100 million hierarchy. And some of you might go, well, you're number two and you're number one is beating you by like, dude, I don't care what you think. I just need to believe that we can be the first $100 million hierarchy. Because if I don't believe that we can be the first $100 million hierarchy, my team's never gonna believe it. But what my team doesn't know is my team doesn't know whether I believe it or not. They just gotta keep hearing. And the more we say it, the more we say it, the more we say it, it becomes a part of us. We then go fight for it. Does that make sense? So I want to encourage all of you to communicate your vision constantly. Communicate your vision constantly. Number 5, you gotta review it and adjust regularly. And with that being said, law of navigation for me is everything. I'm gonna end with the following. How many of you guys have gotten something out of this so far today? Your team, I want you to take a look at your business team like an how do you call it? Like a sports team. And if you've never played sports, you're gonna still get my point. Do you have a roster anywhere, whether it's a bubble chart, an Excel spreadsheet, a list on your notebook? Do you have clearly and visually a roster of who everybody in your team is? Now, if they've quit, should you keep them in your roster? No. Literally the other day, somebody said, oh my God, this is going to happen and I'm going to lose 72 agents. Or I forgot the number they said. I said, 72 agents? I'm like, how many people are showing up to your meetings? I'm like, 13. So if you have 13 people showing up, how are you losing 78? Where's the other? Like, you're counting people you don't even, it's like me saying that I have 12,000 agents in Lionstar because I recruited 12,000 people. Stop counting the people you don't got. Or you're like a child with an imaginary friend somewhere in Paris. Hate saying that, but there's like 8 people on this call that may need to hear that. I'm gonna end with this. It's 102. I went 2 minutes over. I have a list of everybody. I move my team in waves. And I have a list of everybody on my team that is under kind of like my leadership or I'm coaching, right? And I put them in blocks because I build in waves. I have all the people that are the next to $100,000 rank. I have a race to 100K and I'm sending them the numbers. And this is what the cycles are, blah, blah. And I'm tracking them so I can give them navigation to get to 100,000. And then we have all the ones from $101 all the way to $250,000. We have race to 250,000. And then I have race to 1%er. And then we have race to millionaire. And then I have next MVPs. And in my base shop, next marketing directors, next to $10,000, next net licenses. And what I do is I identify where everybody's on my team. And if I have 100 people on my sheet, I know I can be a better leader if I know what the next milestone for each one of them are. And if they're not responding to a group, then I'm going to send individually. Says, hey, Vivian, how's the $250,000 coming along? All right, awesome. Oh, something's not going through. How are you replacing it? I need to know as a leader what my team's next goal is, because here's the truth. The leader, most of the time, will know the next step for their teammate even more than their own teammate will. So when the teammate is lost, the leader can appear and we can then give him guidance. So I want to encourage all of you. How about you take a little bit of time before month end and you send messages to everybody on your team and you go, hey, Sonia, I noticed that you're at 0 recruits. Your goal was 5. Can I challenge you to at least get 1? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you want to build a big team, you got to get good at turning zeros into ones, ones into twos, and people to their goals. And with that being said, I hope I was able to add some value. I hope some of the things I said today can apply to you. And can we say GFI, go for it? Okay, ready? Put it down, Ready? And with that, we're going to end with a GFI, go for it, and we're going to push month end. We got less than 48 hours to finish the month strong. Can everyone get one on this call? Can everyone get one more recruit, one more sale before the end of this month? Okay, you ready? You ready? 1, 2, 3. GFI? Come on, do the one more time. GFI? Go for it. All right, guys, have a blessed day and take care.